Equity Mates, from our mates at Spaceship. Investing made easy.
Welcome to another episode of Equity Mates, final one for the week, and this is going to be a goodie. No promises. My name is Bryce, and as always, I'm joined by my equity buddy, Ren. How are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. Good to get to the end of our week.
Yes.
No Friday episodes. That was one of the things you insisted when we signed the contract here. You said you'd never work a Friday. You said
true.
Since you left Woolies, you've never worked a Friday.
That is
and
not true.
that is the segue to today's episode because we're talking about Woolies.
stretch segue, but that's right. We are talking about Woolies today. There's been a lot of chit chat in our group. I think it was really brought about when we did our buy, hold and sell episode with Adam Dawes from Shaw and Partners, and he mentioned that Woolies was doing a demerger, which is no new news. It's been on the cards for quite a while, but
I would like to see more companies do surprise demergers though.
surprise we've demerged.
Yeah.
But it triggered a lot of conversation in the Equity Mates group because there's a few things to understand about the demerger, particularly if you are a shareholder and what it means when it comes to getting shares in the new spin-off company Demerger Group. So we're going to answer a lot of the questions in today's episode that are coming through the Equity Mates community and go through really what is happening with this Woolworths demerger and what it means for both Woolworths and the new Demerger Group, and who we're going to be backing in.
You've got a favourite?
Yeah.
Great.
And it's going to be both of them.
So let's start at the top. Let's start with what is happening and why. As the former Woolies employee on the panel, you can take this
on
question.
the panel. Thank you,
So
yes.
what's happening?
Well, Woolworths have merged their drinks business, which is Dan Murphy's and BWS primarily. I think they also now include Jimmy Brings, which I'm not sure if that's a national brand. I'm pretty sure it's just here in Sydney, but they deliver alcohol within 30 minutes. Pretty good. With their hospitality business, ALH, which is their hotels and gaming business. So they've merged those two businesses together to create what is now called Demerger Group, and their intention is to now spin that off into a separate publicly listed company, which is likely to be in the top ASX 50, given that it's going to be spinning out at between 10 and 12 billion according to some brokers. So that's what's happening. It's been on the cards for a while, and now the environment is right for Woolworths to actually finalise this and spin it out.
So before we talk about the why, let's talk about the how.
Yep.
I'm an existing Woolies shareholder.
Yep.
What does it mean for me?
Oh, it's great news because, depending on how you see things at Woolworths and what might be of this new business, essentially you're currently the owner of Woolworths stock, and what Woolworths are saying, this is not a sale, this is a spin-off. So they're saying we're going to be spinning off this business, and all existing shareholders are going to be given one share of the new Demerger Group for every share that you hold as a Woolworths shareholder. Woolworths Group themselves are going to be maintaining about a 14% stake in the company, and then there's a large stake that's going to be held by Bruce Matheson, who owns a pretty large chunk of ALH. And so he and his family and his business are going to own a large chunk. But existing shareholders of Woolworths will also now be shareholders of Demerger Group. And you don't have to do anything. You'll just be given one for one, two for one deal.
What does it mean? Like, I have an online brokerage account. All I have is Woolies shares in there.
One day you will log on and you'll find that Demerger Group shares are there as well.
Great.
Keep in mind that if you do want to take up this offer, which is for every share you own in Woolworths, you'll get an Demerger. I think June 25th is the last date that you need to be on the share registry for Woolworths. So before then, go for it. I think we've had a few people buy shares because of this. So
So 25th of June, that's the record date.
Yep.
That doesn't mean shares will be appearing in your brokerage account on the 26th of June.
No.
That'll be later.
Yeah.
But 25th of June is the key deadline to keep in mind if you are interested in buying Woolworths shares.
Yes.
So we've touched on what is happening. We've touched on how it's going to happen. It's going to be a divorce in some ways. They're going to split the assets, go their separate ways. We've touched on when.
Yeah.
What we haven't touched on is why. Why would a company spend all this time and all this money building up the premier alcohol business in Australia? Like Dan Murphy's is the 800-pound gorilla in the drink space.
It's the Bunnings of drinks.
Yeah, used to be more of that. Yeah. It's had its lead eaten into a little bit. Coles has done some incredible things.
Yeah.
Full credit.
Full credit. We're not here to talk about Coles.
But why would you split out a business that you've spent so long building?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. Let's just go back a step there. And you mentioned it is the premier sort of drinks business. And just to put some colour around how big we're talking here, when this does spin out, Endeavour Group will be the largest network of retail alcohol stores around Australia. Annual sales of about 10 billion, 1,600 stores across Australia and 332 hotels. And this is perhaps leading into the why. They also have 12,300 or thereabouts electronic gaming machines across 1,700 liquor
Something that you
licenses.
have a lot of personal experience with.
No.
You were telling me that your goal pre-COVID, before the pandemic shut everything down, was you wanted to try and have a spin of all 12,364 machines.
That was the goal.
You were going to do a tour of Australia?
Not true. But look, that is what's going to be spun out. There's no doubt it's going to be a massive player in the alcohol industry, huge gaming, and we know gaming generates incredible revenues. But that is a good segue, Ren, to the why. And there's no doubt that for years now, Brad Banducci, current CEO of Woolworths Group,
Bryce's personal hero,
one of my heroes, they have been constantly battling with the tarnish that the gaming sector of their business gives to their brand and the ability it gives them to take in investment from people who want to invest sustainably.
That was a nice way of saying poker machines are incredibly unethical. Deep-pocketed pension funds, superannuation funds, and sovereign wealth funds had issues with the unethical nature of the poker machines, and by splitting the unethical part of their business out, they hope to be able to pull some of that money in.
Yes, as Brad actually said it's going to be able to better place them to tackle social issues and become more of an attractive ESG investment. And there's no doubt that with that off the books, with their gaming and liquor off the books, they will still be selling tobacco, which I kind of think is interesting. Sale of tobacco, I don't know where that falls on ESG.
Where else are you going to buy it?
At a liquor shop. That is the major reason that Woolies are doing this. One of the major reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting. It would be a brave supermarket to stop selling tobacco.
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you need to hit those weekly sales numbers,
Absolutely.
they go to
at
tobacco.
Home,
Yeah.
Another interesting development that I think is worth talking about is that this will also allow them to focus on what is now becoming a network, I guess, or what's the word that he uses?
Platform?
Platform, not platform.
I actually
ecosystem.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ecosystem.
Okay, yeah.
They're trying to build an ecosystem of businesses that are essentially like suppliers of various services to the retail industry or to other business, to suppliers themselves. And so they've built out Cartology, which is their media business. They have Quantium now, which is their analytics business. They have Woolies X. And the belief is obviously that you remove gaming and alcohol and refocus on building these other businesses as a revenue stream. So being able to be more flexible with that part of their business as well. The other great news is that of the $1.8 odd billion of debt that's on the Woolworths balance sheet, about 1.6 of that is attributed to their liquor and hospitality business. So it's going to take all that, 70 million on the balance sheet for Woolworths, and it's happy days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, 70 million?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the deal, they're going to walk away with 70 million on the balance sheet, get rid of the debt, and they're going to pay a special dividend as well of about 1.2 billion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not bad. So that's, I guess, why Woolworths are doing it. reinvest in their core business, take working capital out of non-essential parts of their business, and then they want to remove that unethical part of their business. So Woolies will stay the same. It will be worth about $10 billion less. And then there will be a new ASX 50, probably gaming and liquor empire. Now, for context, when these demergers have happened, and they happen quite often, Coles demerged from Wesfarmers, South 32 demerged from BHP. You had a paint one that you spoke about.
Dulux and I can't remember the parent company, but there was also Domain and Fairfax.
So
it's quite a few.
Demergers happen. The interesting stat is that 9 out of 10 times the demerged entity outperforms the parent entity in the first 12 months.
I think outperforms the market.
I thought the stat was they both outperform the market.
I would hope that, both outperform the market.
Do your own research on these stats. But the general gist is that they both outperform the market, but the demerged entity does better than the parent entity.
Within the first 12 months.
Yes. So that is the long run up to ask you this question. If you had to select one of them to do better over the next 12 months, what would you be picking?
Yeah, I'm going to buck the trend.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be picking Woolworths to perform better.
Yeah.
And that's just because I think spinning off a company that has all of these ESG constraints around it in an environment where a lot of investors are now looking to invest sustainably and invest ethically, you're already facing that sort of uphill battle. And I think given the constraints that are now removed from Woolworths, the money that will come into the business, the ability for them to get this off their balance sheet, is putting them in a much stronger position than what they might be now. So I think that they're a better investment, personally, opinion only.
Yeah. Well, look,
what about you?
I don't really have any strong feelings either way, but just for the sake of content, I'll take the other side of this conversation.
Sure.
So I'm going to make the case that it'll be called Endeavour Group, yeah?
Yep.
I'll make the case that Endeavour Group will do better. Woolies have severely underinvested in this part of their business for a long time.
Yes.
Dan's has had their lead eroded as Brad Banducci is distracted, trying to become a tech CEO, talking about ecosystems and platforms and putting an X or a .io after all of his products. Dan Murphy's has had its lead eroded. Because of ESG concerns, Woolworths haven't been able to allocate capital towards refurbishing their poker machines, refurbishing their pubs. It's the unloved, unwanted child that has finally been emancipated and set free. And with that freedom will come the ability to spend on itself, to invest in what it thinks it's its priorities, not what the Woolies, bloody ivory tower thinks their priorities. And I think you can see a step change when a business is able to just focus on itself rather than being part of a conglomerate and having to beg for capital. So next 12 to 18 months, I'm going to say Endeavour, just because I want to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But over the long term, I mean, Woolies is Woolies. There's a reason that it's such a dominant player in the supermarket sector. It's got a nice duopoly position that all of the talk of Aldi disrupting it and, the other disruptors hasn't really come to play. Amazon haven't really gone into fresh. Woolworths will be just a steady grower, dividend payer for the rest of our life, probably.
Mate, it's a growth stock.
It's not a growth stock.
It's going to be a growth stock. It's going to be. You wait till it gets rid of Endeavour Group.
Brad Banducci, if you ever see this clip, Bryce is your biggest fan.
This is a large cap growth stock with unlimited potential.
It's gutting for you that you are Banducci's biggest fan and he didn't reply to the last email you ever sent to him.
We still have a chance. But anyway, look, yes, there's no doubt it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Everything that you said about Endeavour there is very true. They are certainly going to start, renovating and putting a lot more effort and energy into upgrading their fleet. So we know that in retail that generally does lead to incremental sales anyway. So there's no doubt that it's it's going to be an interesting 12 months. But look, as we said at the top, if you are a shareholder, 2-for-1 deal. I don't think you have to take it, but it's default for most people. Read the terms and conditions. As well, listen to our podcast that was launched on Monday. Last Monday for a more in-depth conversation around this topic, where we actually look at some of the more historical demergers that have happened, and does it actually create value for the shareholder. But that is the end of today's episode. Hopefully that was able to give you some value for your investing journey. And Ren will be back next week. Yeah.
If you have thoughts on who's going to win, Woolworths or Endeavour, jump over to our Facebook group, Equity Mates Facebook discussion group. Let us know. And Brad Banducci, if you're watching this, we cannot wait to hear from you. Cannot wait. You know my email. We'll see you next week.
Equity Mates, from our mates at Spaceship. Investing made easy.